Jonathan Young.
Thank you, sir. After hearing a number of contributions, I thought I must stand and talk about why words such as should are there. Sir, indeed it is in the public interest, I'm sure. Sir, as I come to just make some comments on the principles of financial responsibility, particularly the third principle, which states, which provides that large changes in levies are to be avoided. This is intended as a safeguard to reduce uncertainty for levy payers. Now, it's no surprise, and I hope members on the other side know that it's no surprise that when a bill goes into select committee, it often comes out changed. You understand that? And one of the reasons, and it's not dire conspiracy, it's actually listening. It's actually listening to stakeholders, to people in our community, and we consider their view, and we look at what the legislation proposes, and we ask ourselves whether what we went into the committee is actually fit for purpose after hearing submissions. This is what the Insurance Council of New Zealand said. They said Clause 166AC states that large changes to the levy must be avoided. While it is desirable to avoid volatility of levies, there will inevitably be occasions during the life of the scheme where extreme events occur. And of course, this sector, sir, the insurance sector, understands this better than anybody. In the general insurance sector, the period 2010 to 2012 saw some of the most expensive insured claims globally as a result of the massive flooding in Southeast Asia, the Canterbury earthquake series, the Tohoku tsunami and the Hurricane Sandy, to name a few catastrophes. The result was a sharp rise in reinsurance costs globally, which saw a significant increase in premiums to consumers in New Zealand. It is quite conceivable that another global financial crisis would have a major impact on the ACC's investments. ACC should be able to respond to such extreme circumstances. And that is one of the reasons why must was changed to should at the recommendation of a number of substantial submitters through the select committee process. And one or two, but substantial submitters. The Insurance Council of New Zealand, you'd have to say substantial submitters. And they were not the only ones. And so what it does, it enables a degree of flexibility. Sir, we also know that retaining Section 300 is consistent with this approach and means that in making decisions on levies, the Minister will also have regard to the public interest, in particular the interests of taxpayers, levy payers, claimants and potential claimants in the future. We want a scheme, an accident compensation scheme that is here for decades and decades and decades to come. So sustainability, solvency, to have predictability around this is incredibly important. And so what this serves is a safety valve, for example, in circumstances where there are concerns about the impact on levy payers of raising levies. For example, during the GFC, the global financial crisis, ACC recommended levy increases far more than the Cabinet signed off on. And, sir, here we are, fully funded. We also know that, as members on the other side, that the fully funded figure, as the ACC reported to us at the beginning of this year, was higher than the, 100 to 110%. But we also know they reported to us that in January of this year, a $4 billion loss happened to the asset base of ACC that in February was recovered by $2 billion. And so there's a degree of volatility. So that percentage, what's in terms of the solvency of that account, drastically changed. What this bill is essentially about is smoothing out the peaks and the troughs as best as we possibly can in a very volatile environment where We don't know year by year, sir.
Call Jonathan.
Where we don't know year by year, sir, how many claimants we will receive. And sir, we know that when there are, for example, as Insurance Council have said, globally there can be quite very high claims in the insurance sector, certainly in the ACC sector when accidents occur, and let's hope they don't happen at an accelerated or larger proportion than what is estimated. But there become stronger claims, higher level claims. And so having strength of a resource base, of an asset base that can be evened out to take those highs and lows is very important. And having a process of transparency around that, instead of making adjustments at the very end in terms of levy setting, having a policy statement at the beginning that brings guidance through this whole process is very, very important, sir. So I do hope that those few comments that I've made around that word should actually bring some context and some understanding of what that word is about. Thank you, sir.
Very good. I call Jenny Salisa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to